Hello and welcome to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno, lead writer for UCLA Bruins on SI. And today we're going to go ahead and continue and try and finish our series where we rank UCLA's most important games of the season. We're going to try and finish the series this week. And last episode we talked about number 5. Which was Northwestern, their first Big Ten conference opponent in Week 5, actually, coincidentally. We kind of said Northwestern was the 5th most important game just because it's obviously the first conference game. UCLA is going to be favored in that game, and felt like it would definitely set a tone for UCLA going into the season, especially into conference play. So, we're going to move on to number 4. But before that, college football, the season did start today, the day that I'm recording this, week 0. There was a little bit of intrigue as far as UCLA goes because their week 2 opponent, which is UNLV, played a game. Not only did they play a game, they barely scraped past FCS Idaho State. I think they won 38-31 or something like that. It was a pretty close game, surprisingly close. So that's just something to monitor, on the UCLA side of things, because going in, many people predict that UCLA is going to be underdogs going into that game, especially, UNLV has a lot of hype, Dan Mullen. It's an away game, even though it's just in Las Vegas, not too far away. And then they could barely... I wouldn't say barely, but they barely scraped past Idaho State, an FCS team. So just something to monitor right there. They were having a quarterback battle, Alex Orji and then Calandra as well. So just something to monitor there for UCLA. And let's get into it. Number 4, the number 4 most important game of the season for UCLA is going to be Week 11 versus Nebraska. I do think that this matchup comes at a crucial point in the season. It's going to be the last stretch of the year where in between a game against currently number 20 ranked Indiana and the 3rd ranked Ohio State, you have Nebraska where it's going to be... I feel like this is another toss-up game for UCLA this season. They might be underdogs going into it, but it might be slightly underdogs, or they might be slightly favored going into the season. We'll see as we go through the season, but I do think if the Bruins are the team that we're all going to think they are, where, they've improved at pretty much every position group. They have Nico coming in, who is, 2 to 3 wins alone by himself. If they are the team that we think they are, then they're going to go ahead and handle business against Nebraska. But that's why this is so important, because we still don't know who they are, and it's going to be interesting. And we've talked about it a lot. I've been saying that I do think it's realistic that UCLA can start the season 6-1, and start the season 4-0. But that's why this game is important, because if something breaks the wrong way and you lose, you lose 1 or 2 non-conference games, or you drop a Northwestern game, or you drop a Michigan State game, then this game against Nebraska, amidst the toughest, part of your schedule, is crucial to staying afloat. If something goes right, then Nebraska is your 7th or 8th win of the season. If something goes wrong, you're going to need to beat Nebraska in order to even reach 6 wins, which I think is the goal for UCLA, to make a bowl game, to improve on last season. But that's what it all could really come down to, is either you start the season well and Nebraska can be your 7th or 8th win of the season, or you start the season poorly and you need to win this game in order to maintain that bowl game aspiration. So that's why I think this is a very important game for UCLA. That's why I think it is ranked number 4th. But there are some other games before that are ranked, I think, have more importance. Now, I've said it every episode, every game is important this season, obviously, but I do think that some games hold more weight over the others, and that's why, Nebraska holds a lot of weight, because... And we're going to summarize it here, because it comes at a crucial point in the season when, it's a game that will be a toss-up game, but it comes in between, Indiana, where UCLA is not going to be favored. It's in between Indiana and Ohio State, where UCLA is definitely not going to be favored. So that's why I think it's super important, and because depending on how the early season goes, a toss-up game like this against Nebraska is going to be super duper important. So for every opponent, we've been reading how national analysts have previewed their opponents, and we're going to stick with our guy Bill Connolly from ESPN. He previewed them a couple months back, and we're just going to read what he said. This is his quote, just because he writes in the first person. So yeah. As a child of the 1980s and 1990s, which, by the way, I'm nowhere near that, so sorry to date him, but as a child of the 1980s and 1990s, I have to say that the idea of Nebraska finishing with a losing record for 7 straight years was utterly mind-blowing. It's one thing to drift away from a national title contention, it's another to fail to even bowl. That's a ridiculously low bar for a program with Nebraska's resources. We can't say that Matt Rule has the Huskers back on path toward the top 10, but he at least ended the bowl drought in 2024, despite a 4-game midseason losing streak and growing pains for highly touted freshman quarterback Dylan Raiola. And you started 5-1 and reached bowl eligibility with a November win over Wisconsin. The Huskers won their bowl to assure a winning record. It's a start, and if Matt Rule nailed 2 new coordinator hires, the growth should continue. After 2 dynamite seasons with Tony White leading the defense, who had an average defensive SP Plus ranking of 9th, and Rule promoted DB's coach John Butler when White left for Florida State. Butler's secondary is loaded with experience and has stars in corner Sayar Wright and nickel Malcolm Hartzog Jr., but we'll see about a front 6 that lost every starter and could need immediate contributions from transfers such as linebacker Marquez Watson-Trent, who had 114 tackles and 18 run stops at Georgia Southern, and edge rushers and former blue chippers Desan McCullough from Oklahoma and Williams Noorani from Missouri. The offense was poor in 2024, ranking just 99th in offensive SP+, but it was also highly reliant on freshman Raiola, receiver Ja'Cory Barney Jr., left tackle Gunnar Gatula, and sophomores such as running back Emmett Johnson and left guard Justin Evans. Spread offense, Old Hand Dana Holgerson took over play calling late in the season, and NU topped 20 points in only one of his 4 games. But after an offseason with Raiola and with a couple of receiver additions in Dane Key and Nijah Hunter, maybe the offense can perk up a bit. Raiola's first season was predictably all over the map, with 6 games with a 75 total QBR or higher and 3 under 40, but your freshman season is just about survival, right? In his first 2 stops as a college head coach, Rule's teams went from bad in year 1 to decent in year 2 and great in year 3. Aiming for double-digit wins might be a bit much, but the schedule is built for a fast start. Only one of the first 6 opponents is projected to be in the top 60, and if the offense improves more than the defense potentially regresses, a 9-3 record with a potential 10th win in the bowl isn't off the table. So Nebraska's coming in with slightly higher expectations. I wouldn't say that they're going to come in as an 8 or 9 win team, but as Connolly says, 9 wins could be a realistic goal, especially with their start of the season. So if they do start, pretty well in the season, that momentum might carry over to UCLA's game against them in Week 11. So I do think that Nebraska and UCLA are kind of going to be the same tier of opponent, and I feel like both of them are likely to start off pretty hot in the season and carry that momentum into this Week 11 clash. So that it's going to be a pretty important game for the Bruins if they want to prove that they are the team that we all think they are. So yeah, that was number 4. Tomorrow we're going to come back to you with number 3, and then this week we're going to hopefully try and finish this series that's been lasting about 2 weeks. So yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for listening to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.